Texas Department of Public Safety is pleased to have had joined with the 5 divisions of the National Automobile Theft Bureau in producing this film on the subject of automobile thefts. The motor vehicle age and the 50 million automobiles now in use in America have come into being during one generation. Because of its stable value, multiple usage, and mobility, the automobile offers to the thief a prey which is second to none. In a single year in the United States, over 200,000 automobiles were stolen, and while some citizen states have more thefts proportionally, none can rightfully be satisfied with its record. Of the stolen cars year after year, from 5 to 8% are never recovered. The total loss of one car out of each 16 stolen, plus the damage and inconvenience incurred on these which are recovered, represents a staggering economic loss annually. Our police will continue to do an outstanding job in combating this type of crime. Continued training and increased vigilance will enable them to be even more effective. A major portion of the solution of this problem, however, lies in the increased consciousness of the need for self-protection on the part of every automobile owner.
Police functions have multiplied so rapidly in recent years that many police officers have not realized that more automobiles are being stolen annually in the United States than will pass through a tremendously busy highway intersection like this one in a 3-day period. While automobiles are stolen under every conceivable circumstance, the chances of theft are greatly increased, even though a car is locked, if it is left on a dark and infrequently traveled street. On other occasions, smooth working Confederates may spot a desirable vehicle on the street in front of the owner's home and quickly push it away from the vicinity before operating it under its own power. Other similar thefts occur from the owner's premises. Automobiles are frequently taken from an unlocked garage or from a darkened driveway. Thieves avoid detection by pushing the car away from the house. These thefts often give the thief several hours before the car is missed and reported stolen. Unattended public and private parking lots adjacent to churches, theaters, and shopping centers offer excellent opportunities to automobile thieves. By watching the victim park, the thief can be many miles away from the scene before the owner returns. Some automobile thefts involve locked cars and are committed by breaking windows and others by jimmying a vent glass. Still other thefts involve unlocked cars where the ignition must be wired around. However, the majority of all cars are taken from the street where they have been left unlocked and all too often with the keys in the ignition. Let's go back and review this scene, starting a little earlier and following through. When a thief steals a car, he alone knows his purpose. It might be for transportation or only a joyride. When a car is stolen, the thief does not know or care who owns it, if it is paid for, or if it is insured. In any case, a considerable economic loss results from each and every theft. Ultimately, all people who own and insure automobiles help bear these losses through increased insurance rates when losses are frequent and costly. Another motive behind the taking of cars involves stripping them of their more valuable parts and accessories, such as radios, tires, wheels, batteries, generators, starters, hubcaps, visors, and fender skirts. In many such cases, the parts may be used on so-called jalopies and hot rods. However, in the majority of these cases, the thieves sell the stripped items to unscrupulous dealers for a fraction of their true value. Of the many types of automobile thefts, the most serious and costly are the commercial thefts. Frequently, such thefts are committed by highly organized rings who specialize in painting and altering the identity of the vehicle. Many such thefts are among those never recovered, since they are often sold on the used market under fictitious numbers and on fraudulent or counterfeit ownership papers. Most frequently, the first activity in connection with a stolen automobile is a frantic telephone call by the owner to the local police station as soon as the car is missed. Here, the officer who accepts the complaint has an opportunity, by the manner in which he handles the call, to make a good or bad impression on the citizen. He must be courteous, tactful, sympathetic, and at the same time persistent and thorough in order that full information can be obtained to permit the most effective handling of the case. As soon as complete data has been received, it should be recorded and indexed. This data should include year, make, model, body type, color, license, motor, and serial numbers, the place, circumstances, and time, any suspect data, and the name, address, and telephone number of the complainant. Unless all identifying information is included in the original dissemination, much valuable time may be lost, reducing the possibility of an apprehension and early recovery. As soon as the data is recorded, it should immediately be dispatched to other monitoring stations and field units. The original broadcast from the local police department is, in most localities, rebroadcast through state police communication facilities, and in turn, picked up by state police cars patrolling thoroughfares in rural areas. In many sections of the country, in addition to the radio, the information is given wide additional coverage through toll and lease line teletype facilities. Through this medium, state police agencies and the various divisions of the National Automobile Theft Bureau receive theft information and maintain central files on stolen vehicles. Added to the police reports indexed to its files, NATB also receives reports directly from insurance companies by mail and wire. In addition to teletype and telegraph, the Bureau uses the telephone extensively on theft reports, as well as on rush tracings for police officers. All reports of thefts and all inquiries are carefully indexed by motor, serial, license, and owner's name, and filed for permanent future reference. Each division of NATB prepares plates and prints alarm cards each day. When properly sorted, they are distributed to all Bureau offices and to police agencies maintaining permanent card files. For agencies not having files, a bulletin listing stolen and recovered cars is distributed. The offices of the National Automobile Theft Bureau are clearinghouses of automobile theft information and take pride in rendering the best possible service to all law enforcement agencies. It is extremely important that all data concerning crimes and stolen property be properly recorded. Many of us, however, overlook the importance of canceling this information when wanted persons have been located or stolen property recovered. Permanent records and files, to be used efficiently, must be kept up to date and clear of the deadwood. The subject matter just covered dealt generally with the reporting of crimes. Here, briefly, let us consider the follow-up of the original report. Many well-organized police departments assign each case specifically to one or a pair of officers and then require a written follow-up report to be filed within a given period. Whether an automobile theft or any other crime, it is of the utmost importance that the original report be investigated and confirmed. Where possible, investigators should follow through by interviewing complainants and witnesses, visiting the scene of the crime, verifying places, dates, and time, and developing suspect data. Physical examination of the scene of the crime is important. Many times it will be developed that no theft occurred, and in some instances, that the police are being used to solve personal problems. A systematic follow-up program can be an excellent medium of public relations, as it will convey your department's genuine interest in the complainant's loss. It has the further advantage of aiding a police department in keeping its files cleared by getting prompt cancellations when recovery has occurred and by closing many cases as unfounded when investigation shows no theft actually occurred. On some occasions, it will be determined that a relative or an employee has taken the car and that the crime is theft by conversion or theft by bailee. In other instances, there may be embezzlement or fraud. In these cases, proper complaints should be filed and warrants issued. The alert and interested officer with experience will learn to detect through observation many stolen automobiles. Here, one readily recognizes the average American family, probably on vacation or a weekend trip, under conditions which normally would arouse no suspicion. As compared with the previous scene, a situation like this should create a very definite suspicion on the part of any police officer. One might first observe that the occupants hardly fit the vehicle. Further examination may reveal the absence of clothing or luggage, a broken vent glass, or one license plate wired on. These observations can give a definite indication that the vehicle may be stolen, even before a thorough inspection is made or the subjects questioned. A more detailed examination of a suspected automobile, and more especially one found abandoned, should include a check for key, or if the ignition has been wired around, inspection of articles in the glove compartment, a search under seats and floor mats. If this has been an abandoned car, now would be a good time to ask for a latent fingerprint expert to be sent out to process for prints before they are disturbed by the investigating officer, a wrecker operator, or others who may have occasion to be around the car. Often, papers, receipts, invoices, extra license plates, book matches, and many other articles will be found, which can be of value in the investigation. Further examination of the trunk is important to determine if the deck lid has been pried open, if there is a spare. Don't forget to look under the trunk mat. In addition to identifying data, the officer is, of course, always on the alert for narcotics, burglary tools, or stolen goods. The most important part of the examination, however, comes with the recording of notes concerning the description of the vehicle, including the license, motor, and serial numbers. Here, in connection with checking information by radio, the importance of including complete data in the original message cannot be overemphasized. This may save duplication of work on the part of many persons, as often the license only proves to be stolen or issued for some other automobile. Identification and ownership should be established promptly on all cars taken into police custody. When information is not available locally, contact the National Automobile Theft Bureau. They will accept collect wire and telephone messages and furnish prompt information in all cases. To immediately trace and identify all cars will eliminate instances where automobiles are stored and then forgotten. Although thefts for transportation, joyriding, and stripping represent the majority of losses, recoveries in this classification are high. The more permanent and therefore the greatest financial loss results from commercial thefts. In addition to repainting a stolen car, many times the motor and serial numbers will be altered. The motor number is usually ground off and the substitute number restamped. Serial numbers, usually on metal plates, are simply removed and thrown away or replaced with a plate from some other vehicle. After the identity of the stolen car has been completely altered, it is ready for sale, usually to a used car dealer. The type of title, registration, or other evidence of ownership varies with almost every case. Some thieves counterfeit state documents. Others procure genuine documents bearing fictitious numbers, names, and addresses. In title states, a common modus operandi of the commercial thief involves the use of titles originally issued for an automobile which has been wrecked and dismantled. At the time of the sale, all too often the purchasing dealer does not even bother to lift the hood or make any other check to see if the numbers have been changed or if they correspond with the numbers appearing on the ownership evidence being offered. The purchaser also is frequently negligent in making some check to verify the identity of the person selling the car. The following scenes of popular make automobiles present original factory stamping of motor numbers. The problem of detecting authentic and fictitious numbers is usually left to those with considerable experience. However, Any police officer can, through observation and some study, make himself familiar with the types of dyes normally used by the manufacturers, as distinguished from dyes that are available to the general public. While the dyes used by the various manufacturers vary in shape and size, they are generally distinctive for each make, and as a general rule, each manufacturer continues to use dyes with the same characteristics year after year. Also, through an examination of the surface of the metal, alterations can be detected. Here, we see an original number. Notice the grained appearance in the metal. These are mill marks, forming a circular pattern. Where alteration has occurred, in addition to irregularities in the digits, the metal will show evidence of abrasives and frequently will be highly polished. On steel used in the manufacture of automobile frames, roller marks running across the frame appear. Once the surface has been buffed, it is impossible to restore its original appearance. There are certain processes involving heat and acid which will restore and make visible original motor and serial numbers that have been removed. Special agents of the National Automobile Theft Bureau are trained in this technique and in all related matters of identification where numbers have been altered or mutilated. The services of these agents and all other services of the Theft Bureau are available to law enforcement authorities upon request and without charge. Also, under conditions where the original identity of an automobile has been altered, it is frequently necessary to perfect identification through a check with factory records. All manufacturers accurately and carefully stamp all vehicles with appropriate motor and serial numbers. In addition, they record the information in permanent files, cross-indexed by motor, serial, and in some instances, by component part numbers for future reference. This data also includes body style, color, date of assembly, and the name and address of the dealer to whom it was consigned. The National Automobile Theft Bureau maintains an office in Detroit, Michigan, whose primary function is to furnish factory assembly and shipping information to all law enforcement agencies through normal NATB channels. The cooperation given law enforcement by the manufacturers through the National Automobile Theft Bureau is essential to the overall anti-theft program. Time does not permit a detailed study of the location of motor and serial numbers on the various makes and models of automobiles at this time. However, this information is available through the Manual for the Identification of Automobiles, distributed annually to all law enforcement agencies by the National Automobile Theft Bureau. Careless practices on the part of owners not only create ideal situations for thieves, but also place temptation before many who would not otherwise consider theft, more especially the juvenile. Many youngsters become first offenders because temptation is too great and pilferage from an automobile appears so easy. A great percentage of all thefts now occurring might be eliminated through a program by which the police could educate the general public not to leave cars containing valuable personal property in plain sight, and to refrain from leaving automobiles in isolated and poorly lighted areas unlocked, or with keys in the ignition switch, over the visor, or in the glove compartment. Automobile owners are also in need of education concerning maintenance of records, not only of the motor, serial, and license, but of numbered or marked accessories. It would be well if such a record were kept on the person of the owner and drivers, and also a duplicate kept with the title and insurance papers. Parts and accessories without serial numbers can be stamped with initials or distinguishing marks. The items to be marked should include hubcaps, wheels, fender skirts, sun visor, spotlight, and battery. Items which have serial numbers will usually include tires, radio, and generator. police property rooms over the nation are filled with accessories and parts which cannot be claimed for lack of definite identification. Where positive identification could be made, the owner not only would be able to claim his property, but would also be able to give much-needed court testimony and contribute to successful prosecutions and convictions of those responsible for the theft. The automobile theft situation is of such magnitude as to warrant serious police attention and study. The more than 50 million motor vehicles in use in the United States today, plus an ever-increasing criminal element, in part explains why the value of automobiles now being stolen exceeds the combined value of all other property taken through larceny. It remains for the police officer to develop additional and better procedures and techniques to enable him to combat this growing problem more effectively. Because of the universal ownership of the motor vehicle, automobile theft is the one crime of larceny which more nearly affects all citizens alike. The passenger car and its companion, the commercial truck, have in a half-century become vital and indispensable parts of our economy and of our transportation system. Not all individuals or families have places of business for burglars to attack, safes for knob-knockers to try to open, or expensive fur coats and jewelry in their homes to tempt the thief. However, practically every family in this country does own some type of motor vehicle, which is so essential to this, our American way of life. Next to his home, the automobile is to the average citizen his most prized worldly possession, and it deserves the best protection that can be afforded.